Hello and thank you for joining us. My name is Anna Jordan and I'm Senior Reporter at smallbusiness.co.uk, part of the Stubborn Edge Group. To mark International Women's Day 2024, I'll be chatting to a series of my colleagues about their experiences working in financial services, what's changed over the years and what can be improved. Without further ado, let's get cracking. Hello guys, how you doing?
Yeah, good.
Thank you. Okay, before we get started with our discussion today, could you give us a quick introduction of yourselves and what you do at the company?
I'm Kirsty McNally. I'm the Senior Commercial Underwriter for Stubborn Edge.
Thanks.
Hiya, I'm Daisy Leedham and I'm an Assistant Underwriter here at Stubborn Edge.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for coming on. And to start with, I'd love to know a bit about you, because you guys both work in the same team. And Kirsty, you're a few years ahead, but Daisy, you're brand new. I believe you started last summer?
Yes.
So as a woman in financial services, Kirsty, things must have changed even in the time that you've been in compared to the entry point that Daisy's come in. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, massively. I think there's a lot more inclusion for women now. It's very interesting because I sort of came into insurance from an old school mentality. So constantly surrounded by men. And throughout the progression of my career, that's become less and less, I think. We're seeing women in a lot more senior roles now, which is really encouraging for young girls who are coming into the industry and want to kind of learn from those women and kind of aspire to be in that position eventually.
Great. And Daisy, what are your first impressions, I guess? You're in your first year. So how is it being a woman in financial services in 2024?
Yeah, I think it's great, honestly. There's a lot more women in the industry, I think, than I actually expected. So I went to uni and we did have Women in Finance Society, and it kind of seemed like there wouldn't be as many in this industry, like in the insurance industry specifically, just because we didn't really talk about that. We mainly spoke about the banking side, but I'm very pleasantly surprised. So it's great.
Fantastic. And so coming back to you, Kirsty, what support would you have liked to have seen when you started out?
I think probably just encouragement from the very few women that were in the industry at the time. I think they probably didn't have or feel like they had as much say as they do now to maybe make a difference. Had that been encouraged at that time, I feel like maybe people in my position back then would have been maybe grown a bit quicker into their roles. I can't really speak to say whether we kind of worked harder to get to where we are now, but certainly from observation, you kind of had to make yourself feel a bit more present.
Right. And I suppose there's a sense of having to act more quote unquote masculine to sort of survive in the workplace.
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe, I mean, what can you really call masculine? I guess that's quite a broad term, but certainly to kind of feel like you're part of the group. Obviously, the diversion between male and female is very distinctive and different anyway. So, but I feel like they're doing a lot more now to make people feel very inclusive. And they're not necessarily segregating male and female. It's more about, roles and responsibilities and working as a team regardless of that, which is really encouraging. And seeing the likes of Daisy come in and have access to that straight away, I think it's great.
Yeah, and I think it's proof that people from all backgrounds, all personalities, all types of women can work in insurance and in financial services.
Yeah, I think you can learn a lot from one another, just from the different personalities, female personalities as well. I think without kind of going too far into one area, I think the organisation that you see in women, especially more in senior roles now, I think it's a really nice strength that women have, actually.
Yeah. And I can imagine going forward, say, for example, if you wanted to have a family further down the line, there's not that kind of intimidation, like, oh no, how would I kind of navigate that situation? It's generally quite open now and people are quite accepting of it.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about that, Daisy, but for me, it's not really something I'm concerned about at all.
Yeah.
Just for example, my twin sisters just recently had 2 children, and she's coming straight back into a senior career from a position that she led
Yeah.
2 years ago. So the support mechanism around that, I think, is really, really good now. Really, really good.
Yeah, and as well, I mean, as we were saying before, it's for dads as well as mums, you know, having more openness and more making it easier for parents generally.
Yeah.
Really.
Because things are so 50-50 now as well, aren't they? Sort of roles and responsibilities, and now you've got that natural progression of women's careers kind of exceeding the expectations that were put in place kind of 10, 15, 20 years ago. There's now become that balance of roles in a household as well. And the fact that you've now got, employment agencies promoting that to different insurers and finance teams, I think it's making a better environment for everybody to have things like families and also share roles and progressions throughout their career as well. Having the balance to be able to do it is great.
Absolutely. And Daisy, you said a little bit about there's a Women in Finance Society at your university. And before that, how was the prospect of going into financial services generally?
It was kind of a lot easier for me, I believe. I went to an all-girls sixth form, and through my sixth form I actually got a scholarship to my university, so it was kind of lucky for me anyway. So it was quite an easy break into it. But even at my uni there was probably 80% men and 20% women, so it was kind of special at uni, and now it's changed a lot more. It's majority women in my uni. I've seen the new years, so that's quite nice. But it was quite an easy breakthrough really, but I think that's probably because I did go to an all-girls sixth form and it was kind of just, quite good like that way.
Nice. And I suppose it's the old adage that people don't think they can be what they can't see almost, so that the more women that there are in the industry, the more women will follow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's I don't necessarily just think that's an issue with women. I think that happens everywhere. A lot of people talk about this imposter syndrome now. And I think the more that we can encourage being equal, in all different industries, I think will encourage people to not have something like imposter syndrome. I don't think that's just a challenge for females. I think that's across the board.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think could be improved support-wise for women in the industry going forward?
Oh God, that's a tough question. I think it goes down to bringing sort of more awareness as to maybe having more, events perhaps, maybe more opportunities for women to sit down and actually share experiences together. Because it's still that, even though, they're promoting kind of International Women's Day and awareness around there being more women in the industry, you still miss that personalism of actually sitting down and having a conversation with somebody and sharing experiences. And I think if there was more of that, it might encourage people to want to talk about it a bit more and be a bit more comfortable in their environments.
Yeah, so a bit more hands-on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How about you, Daisy?
I think the same really. I think we're quite lucky. Most of the people we deal with are actually women as well, so it's not like we're looking for that. With our insurers, we speak directly to women.
Yeah. There's quite a diverse group, isn't there?
So it's quite nice. I feel like we are meeting a lot of women and actually talking to them in that way, but it'll be nice to actually meet different sections and speak to them just about experiences, like you said.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a balance to everything. I mean, you don't want to start encouraging environments where it's just purely women. I think there's a lot of strengths that men have that also, on the opposite side, women would have as well. And I think if you can find that right balance in working environments, then I think it will flourish, really.
Absolutely. And having the diversity does help because, your customers are going to be from all walks of life. To cater to them, you need that diversity within a team.
Yeah, I think you just need to understand it as well, and be open to accepting new ideas and accepting people's weaknesses and strengths alike, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kirsty, you said when you started out, you had to sort of just get on with it, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a difficult one because you can't really, it's just the way that it was. So you had to adapt to that environment naturally, and like you say, just get on with it really. But it was a time where things were sort of being made aware of, maybe not a time for change as such, but slowly over sort of the progress of maybe 5 to 10 years into my career, you could see the changes happening. And it was quite nice to be a part of and to see as well. And when I look back to, you know, where we were almost 15 years ago to where we are now, we've come a long way.
Yeah. And do you think if you had support that is available now when you started, do you think that would have shaped how you are now in your career, or possibly where you might be?
Perhaps. I mean, what it's certainly done for me now is, I'd say, encourage even more so the likes of Daisy, who's just stepping into her career, and give her the right sort of level of guidance and advice that I can, and share my experience. Because I think, you know, you've got to have people like myself, maybe sort of, you know, slightly older women who've been in that career a little bit longer, go through those experiences in order to be able to kind of advise the likes of Daisy or any of these kind of new graduates that are coming in, to share those experiences and to learn from ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose we do have a lot of women in leadership roles here at Stubborn Edge, but you guys are both working within the same team. But Kirsty, you report to and manage, so you know that must be having strong females either side of that must be quite important. And
yeah, it gives you something to aspire to. You know, I think because I've obviously got ambitions and growth in my career that I want to, you know, to try and achieve. It's nice to, at this present moment in my career, be in that middle position where you've got roles and responsibilities and a level of seniority, and you can also make a difference to the likes of hopefully Daisy's career as well, and see her progression through, and see how different it is now to where it was back then. But then also the likes of, you know, Karen, who's our, you know, vice CEO, you know, see what she's achieved in her career and what she's had to sort of endeavour and go through and aspire to that, not necessarily through the easier path that it may be in this day and age, but I kind of like hearing about the hardships that she's had to kind of endure.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's kind of a reminder of how far we've come, as well as a marker as to what we should be avoiding within the workplace. Yeah, absolutely. Well, great stuff. Thank you both for meeting with me. It's been a really interesting discussion. Do you have any words of wisdom to people who might be watching before we wrap up?
Oh gosh, I think you know, what you put into something, you will get out.
Don't really know. Just that you can do whatever you put your mind to. Like, I've never faced any barriers applying for jobs or even looking for jobs, and it's just quite nice to do what you want to do, and you'll get there.
Brilliant. Well, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.